Alright guys, today we're looking at the last kind of division with decimals you might see. We're going to be practicing what you need to do if you see a decimal in the divisor. I set my problem up the same way, with the first number inside and the second number outside. Remember, the divisor is the number that's outside. It's how many groups you're trying to make from this larger number. But if you have a decimal, that doesn't really work, because what this means is I would be trying to make 1.5 groups or 1.5 groups. What we want to do is make a whole number of groups. So to turn the divisor into a whole number, you take the decimal and you scoop it until the end of the number and drop it off. By moving the decimal here, I just changed this number from 1.5 to 15. But the rule is, however many times you scoop outside, you have to scoop inside. So if I scooped once here, I grab this one, scoop it to the end, and drop it off. I'm going to rewrite my problem as 543 divided by 15. Now, this is just a regular division problem. 15 goes into 5, no. 15 goes into 54 3 times, because 15 times 3 is 45. I'm left with 9. Bring down my 3. Oof, I don't know how many times 15 goes into 93. So I'm going to list my multiples of 15. This is something that you'll notice when you have a decimal in the divisor and you end up moving it. A lot of times the number that you have to try to multiply by is going to be bigger. It's going to be one that you're going to want to list multiples for. 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90, 105. I think I can stop there. 15 goes into 93 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. I'm left with 3. 15 doesn't go into 3, and I'm out of numbers. What you should remember from the other day is that if I don't see a decimal and I need to start adding zeros, I need to put my decimal in first, bring it up to the quotient, and then bring a 0 down. 15 goes into 30 2 times, because 15 times 2 is 30. Some of you might have just gotten confused about why I added this decimal, because you were thinking, but there was already a decimal in here and over here, so what happened there? When I scooped these decimals, I was creating a new problem. I was changing it from 54.3 to 543, and from 1.5 to 15. So once you've scooped your decimal, ignore what the original problem was and work from here. Let's do another one. $167 divided by 0.25. I don't have a decimal in my dividend. I do have one in my divisor. The number outside the house, the divisor, rules. This one has to be a whole number. So to change 0.25 to a whole number, I need to move my decimal from here to the end. To do that, I scoop 1, 2 times and drop it off. But you should remember, however many times I scooped here, I need to scoop my decimal inside. I don't see a decimal in 167, but when you don't see a decimal, it's invisible. It's at the end of a number. Now that I've added my invisible decimal, I can scoop it 2 times and fill in zeros as placeholders. I'm going to rewrite my problem. Notice how, since I moved my decimal to the end, I'm rewriting it without the decimal. The invisible decimal's at the end. And here, since I moved my decimal to the end, I'm not going to write 0.25 anymore. Now I'm going to write 25. And let's count by 25s to divide this out. 25 doesn't go into 1. 25 doesn't go into 16. It goes into 167. I don't know how many times off the top of my head, so I'm going to count out my 25s. 25, 50, 75, 100, 125, 150, 175. To get from 25 to 167, I need to count by it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, because 25 times 6 is 150. $25 doesn't go into 17, but I have a 0 I can bring down. It goes into 170, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, because 25 times 6 was 150. I'm left with 20. 25 doesn't go into 20, but I have another 0 I can bring down. 25 goes into 200. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. And 25 times 8 is 200. So I'm finished. Rather than look at one more example, what I want you to do is, if I lost you anywhere along the way, I want you to rewind and start over. If you feel ready to practice on your own, it's time for you to practice.